mistake. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There weren't any. We spent all this money. We don't even have it. But, like, that was the story in 15. Now, he's doing the exact same thing. He's doing the opposite of that. The literal opposite, as I've just demonstrated. The war which he once criticized, he's now selling. Now, here's the amazing thing. As black and white as this is, you still have, and I have seen it on my timeline all week, hundreds, if not thousands, of pro-Trump shills on Twitter that are supporting this. How is it possible? I tweeted this today. I said, if we get a war with Iran, forget it. I'm not voting in 26. I'm not voting for any member of this cabinet in 28, and nobody else should either. Why would we vote for the party that brings us Iraq 2? Not only is that a stupid idea, but it's also actually a complete betrayal of what this entire movement is about. So I put on Twitter today, I said, if we get this second Iran strike, if we're in a war with Iran, what's even the proposition? Just forget it. I won't vote for it. I won't vote for it in the midterms. I'm not going to vote for the vice president and secretary of state that have given this to us. And that's what they want the ticket to be, is Vance and Rubio. War in Iran brought to you by Vance and Rubio. Now get on board and vote for them in 28. So I put this on Twitter, and literally go look at my replies. Go look at the replies. Look at the top replies by likes. Look at the quote tweets. And there are no shortage of pro-Trump accounts, some of them boomers, some of them even Zoomers, and they're saying, well, you know, I trust Trump. One guy says, I voted for Trump to put America first. If he thinks we should go to war with Iran, then we should go to war with Iran. This is the discourse. This is what's being said. This is what I see in my replies. You're a Democrat plant. How could you say that? And this vindicates what I said about Trump in 24. Herein lies the problem with the Trump victory. And I will keep saying this because it is true. The problem with Trump at this point is that whatever he does, no matter what it is, a significant percentage of middle American radicals will support it. Maybe most of them, maybe all of them. It doesn't matter what Trump does, what he says. It could be a complete betrayal of his own promises, of his own movement, of everything. It doesn't matter. Cover up the Epstein files. Go to war with Iran. Give up on mass deportations. 70% of the GOP base will defend it because it's him. That's the danger. And suddenly you go from a country which is primed to be radicalized, it's primed for right-wing populism, it's primed for an America First movement, and all of a sudden, now that Trump is thrust into the White House, now all of that revolutionary fervor is deflated. If Trump is doing it, they will eat it up. And that would not be true in the alternative case. And what I mean by that is, had Kamala won, let's say for the sake of example, she would be bringing us to war in Iran as well, without a doubt. The Israelis would be pushing her, the same interests would be pushing her. But if Kamala was bringing us to war in Iran, would any Republican support it? Not even Trump would support it. Not even Trump himself would support it. Trump would be on Truth Social, or I guess he would be in prison, but Trump would be against it. 100% of Republicans would be against it. Certainly National Review would be cheering it on. They would say today is the day Kamala became the president, when she bombed Iran. But you know that the right-wing populists, the majority of them, almost to a man, would be saying, wow, this is the deep state. This is the Clinton-Kamala machine. They just want endless wars. If she didn't release the Epstein files, they would be outraged. It'd be MAGA night at the White House. And that is the difference. Now, hear me out here. A lot of people are going to watch this clip, mark my words, and they're going to say, wow, He wanted Kamala to win. This guy's a Democrat. He can't let it go. He seriously thinks Kamala should have won. There would have been 3 million more illegals here by now. People are going to say that. The reason I am telling you this, and by the way, you know this is a fact. However this makes you feel, whatever the implications of this might be, you know this is a fact. What I am telling you is a fact. That much is indisputable. If Trump pushes something, 80% of Republicans will support it no matter what it is, even if it's a war with Iran. If Kamala did the exact same thing, 80% of Republicans would be against it. That is a fact. You cannot dispute this. When Trump brings us to war in Iran, as he did last June, 70-80% Republicans supported it. If Biden or Harris did it, they would be against it. You may not like the implications of this. It might make you uncomfortable. But that is true. And what does that tell you? It tells you something about the psychology and the game theory of voting for Republicans. We have this idea in our heads that we have to vote for the least bad option. We have to vote for the better option. You're given two choices. We have to vote for the one that is the least bad, and that's always the right play. The Democrats are going to be measurably worse, so we got to vote for the alternative because there's only two choices. But this is actually a lie, because time actually goes on after the election. And so you might think, well, we have a choice of Republican and Democrat in this election, and who are you with? And you might say, well, I don't like either of them, and people are going to say, well, that's a vote for the other side. But time goes on. Somebody gets elected, and then there are second-order consequences. You see? There are actually many permutations. There are trees of possibilities. You understand? So it's not just we get one or the other. Whether we get one or the other and how we get one or the other actually has ramifications. There are reactions to this. There are other dominoes that fall. Here's the point. If in every single cycle you say, oh, well, hold our nose, vote for the lesser two evils. Oh, well, vote for the lesser. Oh, well, vote for the least bad option. If you do that every time, you're never going to get anything different. But if one time you say, I'm not going to vote for that, and then Kamala has the bad war with Iran, she has to cover up the Epstein files, whatever, then maybe it changes the outcome of what type of option you get on the right, what the offering will be in the next cycle. You see? So that all of this is to say, if you're voting for something that is against your interest, how does that take us to a place where we ever get what we want? If Trump is telling us we're going to war with Iran and we vote for this and we affirm this and we reward this, then what do you think we're going to get 4 years from then? Well, we're not going to be happy. And what do you think happens when we vote for that? Again, what do you think will happen 4 years from that point? You're not going to be happy again. And this is the game that we play every 2 years, every 4 years, by rewarding this, by incentivizing this, by affirming this. You're going to get more of it. And this is the issue that Trump creates. It's that the GOP, I said this the other night, they're sucking all the resources, support as the rallying point for opposition to the left, or under Trump as the rallying point for populist opposition to the entire establishment. It is preventing any other option from coming to the fore. And in some ways, you could say it's actually re-entrenching the establishment, because now that Trump is in office, now people support this stuff. If Kamala had won the election, let's say some things that we know to be true. No Republican would think it was a fair election. Actually, most Americans would say that Kamala has no legitimacy because she never even won a primary on the Democrat side. she would be stuck with the crisis in the Middle East, the crisis in Ukraine, an economic catastrophe. Like, all of this is true. And in 2028, who knows what could have happened? We just don't know. It's a big question mark. But here's what we do know now. Now that Trump is in office and he's doing all these things, war in Iran, covering up the Epstein files, a lot of Republicans are going to support it. He's deeply unpopular with the majority of the country. They're blaming all of this on him, and now he has soured immigration enforcement for everybody. He's pissed off the left, alienated the middle, and in 2028, the initiative's going to be with the other side. Like, this is how you got to think about these things. So I see these young people on Twitter, and they're saying, well, Trump is supporting war in Iran, so I support it too. And I'm thinking, this is maybe the entire conceit of MAGA. MAGA is a handshake between the establishment and the rubes. What happened to us? What happened to you guys? In 2016, we were going to burn it all down. In 2016, we were saying, we need an outsider, we need a businessman, we need someone that's going to destroy the establishment of both parties, the globalists, the banks, the special interests. What the fuck happened? Here we are 10 years later, and the logic of Trump Republicans is vote for every Republican no matter what. Vote for Lindsey Graham. Vote for Kevin McCarthy. Vote for Ronna McDaniel. Vote for the RNC. Vote for war in Iran. We don't care if we build a wall or have mass deportations. The entire conceit of MAGA was to get a nation of people that were ready to revolt and get them back onto the plantation. A nation of people that were unreasonable, thought the elections were rigged, thought they were being screwed by free trade, mass immigration, foreign wars. They were ready to burn it all down and get them back onto the plantation, being dutiful Republican voters and accepting all the compromises that came with that. And that's actually a perfect segue into our first story, which is about this editorial from the Wall Street Journal. And like I said, I'm reading the Journal today, and for those that don't know, the Wall Street Journal is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is a super Zionist and a spook. He got his citizenship from the Reagan administration, working with the intelligence agencies, building satellites, owner of Fox News, New York Post, friend of Netanyahu. And his paper, Wall Street Journal, is like the mouthpiece of the Chamber of Commerce, of the business interest. And there's a very interesting article today in the Wall Street Journal. It's an editorial, and it talks about the mass deportations. And like I said at the top of the show, there has been so much said about mass deportations from a cultural and political lens. When we think about immigration, what we really think about is a cultural, social issue. We think about a largely white majority, an increasingly small white majority, that is frustrated with the influx of immigrants who have a different culture, speak a different language, have created this underclass lifestyle where they're dependent on welfare, where they never assimilate, and where they're actually changing the texture of life of most cities in America because of these ethnic enclaves they're creating. They're browning America. And this is how we typically think about it. And so when we think about illegal immigration, we think about issues of society. Should these people stay in our country? Are they contributing? Are they good people? Are they real Americans? What does it mean to be American? Aren't we all immigrants? And what does it mean to be an immigrant? What's the difference between a settler and an economic migrant? These are the types of conversations that we have. And then there's also a political conversation. Well, they're all going to vote Democrat. And the Democrats want to amnesty them because they're a fixture of the Democrat machine politics. And people say the Democrats are the party of the marginalized and the racial and ethnic minorities and so on and so forth. And we've talked about these angles throughout the past year. We've talked about the pushback from the radical left, how they're fighting ICE. We've talked about how the Democrat Party shielded the immigrants. We have talked about how the Democrats are resisting this legislatively, how their allies in the media are putting the pressure on the administration, how Republicans don't like that the issues in the media because of the midterms. But this is the angle which is actually the most important aspect, and it is also the one that is never talked about. Now, for context, 2 years ago, I predicted that mass deportations would not happen. It's why I didn't vote for Trump. And you can go back, all these shows are on Rumble. You can go back and watch my show from 2024, 2 years ago. And I said explicitly, I said, I will not vote for Trump because the mass deportations are never going to happen. And I knew it for a fact. And I was confident. Why was I confident? How did I know it? Well, I said it back then. It's not just about me. It's about the ironclad logic of these kinds of factors here. The reason why is because 2 years ago I said, during this election in 2024, what is the central determining factor of the success of the Democrats, or the Republicans for that matter? It's the economy. How well the incumbent party does in the election is dependent on how good the economy is doing. And what is happening in the economy in 2024? Inflation. Prices are going up. They're going up because of all the money printing. They're going up because of supply chain disruptions. They're going up for a variety of reasons. Inflation is high. That is one of the number one quantitative metrics to predict which party is going to win the election. Now, the Republicans are promising mass deportations. People are saying they're going to win the election because they're promising mass deportations. I said in 24, the reason you're not going to get mass deportations is because if you deport 10 million people, which is how many people came in under Joe Biden, what kind of impact do you think that will have on the economy? Just think about it. 10 million human beings. That is like if all the illegal immigrants in America, which is 30 million people, if all those people were removed, that would be like if Texas broke off from America and suddenly wasn't counted in the GDP, like Texas or Florida. If you deported even 10 million, that would be like if you took Chicago and its entire metropolitan area and you subtracted that from the U.S. economy, its GDP. What would that do to the GDP numbers? What would that do to the rest of the macroeconomic metrics? Well, let's say very simply, in the first place, you remove 10 million people, that is 10 million fewer consumers. That's 10 million fewer people that are spending money on clothes, on food, on gas, on cars, on energy, on rent, on healthcare, on education, all of these things. 10 million fewer consumers. That's a huge hit. Well, what else do these 10 million people do? Many of them work. Many of them have jobs. 10 million people that are being employed under the table for low wages in construction, hospitality, food delivery, all these kinds of things that are now going to have to be replaced. Replaced by native-born workers that are going to want benefits, health care, minimum wage. So what does that do to labor cost? It makes it go up. You have a huge disruption. The illegals go out. Oh no, we got to find their replacements. There's a period of adjustment. And when they find their native-born replacements, the labor cost goes up. Cost goes up. You either have to increase prices, hello, inflation, or profits go down. And profits for who? Businesses, Wall Street, the corporations that employ them. Suffice to say, you deport 10 million people, it is going to slow down the economy and it is going to increase prices. Now, you're Donald Trump in the White House. You got elected to get inflation under control. That's why Biden, or ostensibly Kamala Harris, that's why the Democrats lost the election. Because prices were going up, inflation was high, stagflation was setting in. So they get killed politically over this. Trump gets into office. He needs to bring prices down. If you're a politician, this is your imperative. You want to win in 26? You want to win in 28? You got to get the prices down or stabilize them. You got to fix the economy, because if you don't, the bottom falls out from under you. If you don't fix the economy, you get a blue tsunami, and then you get impeached, and then you lose in 28. So these are the ironclad laws of politics. It's the economy, stupid. If you want to win the election, you got to have a good economy. If you want to have a good economy, you got to have growth. You got to have price stability. Inflation has to hit that target of 2%. And in this particular time of persistently high inflation, structural inflation, this is all the more important. Now factor in some other things. What else is Trump promising to do in 2024? He's promising a tariff schedule of 15% tariffs on all goods coming into the country. Now, I'm a tariff supporter, and I don't believe that tariffs are necessarily a direct tax on consumers. However, some of the cost of the tariff is ultimately borne by the consumer. Not all of it, and I think it's worth it, but some of it is. Some of the cost of the tariff is ultimately passed down. So that's already putting upward pressure on prices. Now you're going to deport 10 million people on top of that. Now you're going to deport 10 million consumers, 10 million workers, 10 million people that are employed under the table in some of these very important fields: agriculture, construction, food service, hospitality. I don't think so. Which is Trump going to choose? Deporting 10 million people, which is so politically costly, logistically not feasible for the government, would be unprecedented in terms of the effort required to do it, and it's going to destroy the economy, and they get wiped in the midterms, and they get wiped in 28? Or is Trump going to gesture that he's doing deportations, performatively target the criminals, of which there are only 700,000 criminal illegal aliens, people that are already a drain on society, and say that they did mass deportations? And meanwhile, they don't fuck with the illegal immigrants that are actually working. They don't mess with those good illegals that have been here for 20 years, that are contributing to society, that are bolstering the profits of Wall Street. Well, now we have our answer. So 2025, they deport 230,000 people. It's nothing. 2026, Trump has changed the policy. He says, well, we're only going after criminal illegals. And specifically, what have they done? They have made carve-outs for the illegals with jobs. When Trump passed the big, beautiful bill last year, him and Stephen Miller and Brooke Rollins at Agriculture were devising a plan to give hundreds of thousands of H-2A visas for illegal immigrants working on farms. It was effectively an amnesty. Go look it up. This was a negotiation. They were talking about taking all these illegal immigrants working in agriculture, Rollins is Secretary of Agriculture, and they were going to grandfather them in and effectively say, well, you're here already, you're working on the farms, we're going to give you a seasonal work visa to work on the farms. And they were going to give this big carve out and shield those people from deportation, an effective amnesty. Now in 2026, I hear word from the administration, from inside, that they are not going to do job site raids for companies with more than 50 employees. When Trump went into a Hyundai factory in Georgia and they deported 300 South Koreans, Trump himself called the governor and apologized and said he wouldn't do it again. They're making carve-outs for illegal aliens. It's not zero tolerance. It's not mass deportations. They're protecting the labor. Well, now here we are, 2026. I'm going to read to you. This is an editorial from the Wall Street Journal. This is a conservative paper of record, Murdoch-owned. This is Rupert Murdoch-owned, allied with the administration, mouthpiece for the business interest. This is what Wall Street Journal has to say. It says, quote, America's strength rests on sustained capital investment, but also on a growing supply of labor. More workers means more production, consumers, and demand. Doesn't that sound great? That's what I wake up and am concerned about. I want America to just constantly have more workers, more consumption, more aggregate demand. It's never enough. And if we don't have enough white workers, let's bring in Mexican workers. Oh, not enough Mexican workers, or they're too stupid? More Chinese workers, more African workers, more refugees. And we're all going to live together, increasing aggregate demand, buying products forever. Then we're going to go to the moon and we're going to go to Mars. Hopefully we can colonize the stars so that we can increase aggregate demand even more. I imagine a scenario where we encounter extraterrestrial life, and they can also consume products and contribute to the gross domestic product. We can only hope that we can actually expand, put people on other planetary bodies. There will be more production, consumption, and demand. But anyway, so this is how it starts. It says the Trump administration's mass deportations threaten to break that virtuous cycle. Okay? It's almost beyond parody. Let me read that again. America's strength rests on its growing supply of labor. More workers means more production, consumers, and demand. The Trump administration's mass deportations threaten to break that virtuous circle. The vicious cycle of just constantly growing, constantly expanding the economy. No, this is a virtuous cycle of importing foreign workers to increase production and consumption and the GDP. It's a virtuous cycle that is good. It goes on. The U.S. was already slowly approaching zero labor force growth as fertility fell and the population aged. So this is an economic problem, right? People aren't getting married and having kids. And my first concern is, well, who's going to man the factories? Man, when I think about the travesty of men and women being alienated from one another, not pair bonding, not entering the sacrament of marriage and having children. Our society is dying because it's devoid of love and connection and ultimately tradition and holiness. Yeah, but so who's going to man the factories? If men and women aren't getting married and having lots of kids, and we don't have a ton of kids, so who's going to make the stuff? Who's going to be insurance agents? Who's going to man the gift shops? Who's going to do it? Who's going to make the missiles? Who's going to make the Stinger missiles for Ukraine if we don't have kids? This is a big problem. It says, what kept the country from this demographic disaster was immigration. The 3,000 person per day arrest quota for immigration enforcement looks like an act of economic self-sabotage. In other words, we're not having kids to man the factories. We need immigrants to make up the difference. If you start deporting illegals, we're sabotaging this plan. It says, which is, sort of the point, actually. Research from the Center for Migration Studies finds that the undocumented workforce in the United States is large and overwhelmingly employed across key sectors of the economy. Many of the 675,000 immigrants deported last year, that's a fake number, by the way, were working to build data centers, manufacturing plants, energy infrastructure, and housing. Who will take their place when the U.S. has 6 million unfilled jobs? Who will build the data centers, guys? You thought we were going to deport 30 million illegals, but wait, who's going to build the data centers so that we can have more chat GPT prompts? Who's going to build the houses for all the illegal immigrants without the illegal immigrants? Have you even thought of that? I know everybody was excited about mass deportations. Who's going to build the multifamily housing for all these immigrants if we don't have immigrant labor? Who's going to build the data centers? It goes on. Deportations impose costs on citizens too. The Peterson Institute for International Economics projected in 2024 that deporting 1.3 million workers could raise consumer prices by 1.5% within 3 years as labor shortages worsen. Deportations lead to the loss of jobs for citizens, according to the Hamilton Project. Consumption declines. The Brookings Institute estimates that the U.S. lost between $40 and $60 billion in consumer spending because of deportations. And that slows economic growth. There it is. I mean, he didn't think of this. Deport 10 million Venezuelans. Think of the hit to the GDP. As a businessman, a taxpayer, and an American with roots in this country that go back 400 years, I want to see us keep growing as we have for the past 250 years. I believe the vast majority of Americans feel the same way. The question we need to ask is, what is the ROI on our investment in ICE? This is the part that nobody wants to talk about. It is all about the economics. That's really what it is. At the end of the day, why is it that we need to bring in millions and millions and millions of immigrants? Well, you don't even really need to ask this and wonder aloud, because it's a testable hypothesis. When did immigration increase the most? 1990. It was the 1990 Immigration Act under George Bush, which basically doubled every category of immigration. Green cards, chain migration, it created H-1B, it created these visa programs, the visa lottery. Everybody knows about the 65 Hart-Celler Act. It was the 1990 Immigration Act, which actually increased the quotas, increased the limit of how many legal immigrants could arrive. And who gave us the 1990 Immigration Act? George Bush, a Republican. President George Bush gave us the 1990 Immigration Act. Chain migration, Republicans. Visa lottery, Republicans. H-1Bs, Republicans. They invented it. And who lobbied for the 1990 Immigration Act? The Chamber of Commerce, of course. The Chamber of Commerce, representing the business interests. Because they, on Wall Street, are measuring the macroeconomic trends. They're measuring the collapsing fertility rate. They're measuring the trend in terms of population growth and the future workforce and the size of people which will be beneficiaries of the government, retirees, dependents, as opposed to productive people. And so they lobbied for us to accept more Hispanics, more Asians, to do these jobs that Americans could not do because there's not enough of us, because we're not being born. And this is why then the propaganda was created. There's all sorts of political interest behind it as well, but this is just the narrative that serves as the pretext. America's going to become a big and welcoming country, and we are a nation of immigrants, and the American dream is for everybody, and the blessings of liberty were secured not just for white men, but for people from anywhere. Why was this mythology created? So that white people would get comfortable with their replacements. White people would get comfortable with the economic migrants pouring in from the countries that still have a high fertility rate, who are going to replace the children that white people never had, and we're not going to have. And what is the incentive to bring these people in? It's literally just a math equation. If you're a business and you're making things or selling a service, what's your number one cost? You got to pay rent on your factory, on your farm, or whatever. You got to pay for the land usage. You got to pay for your taxes. You got to pay for your capital, your machinery, your equipment. But probably your biggest cost is your labor. It's the people that are working there. If you're running a farm, it's the people that are picking the grapes, picking the berries. If you're running a hotel, it's the people that are turning over the rooms, turning over the beds and the bathrooms. If you're a construction company, it's the people that are hammering the nails, that are doing the work. So they want immigrants to come over here and work as cheaply as possible. Immigrants that are going to come here, and because they are not actually citizens, or in some cases they are, but there's another way in which the workers are dependent on their employers, like in the case of H-1Bs, they want people that are going to come over and, in a word, accept a lower quality of life. Lower wages, becoming an underclass, dependent on government to subsidize their lifestyle with some small wages. And if you can get that cost down with a constantly increasing supply of labor and people that are working basically without regulation, you keep that cost as low as possible, and that means your profits can go up. If the cost goes down, the profits go up. Revenue is fixed. If you get the cost down, you get to keep more of what you bring in. It's that simple. And so Wall Street, which buys and sells the companies, and the companies which are becoming conglomerates and highly centralized, well, it is in their economic interest to have this endless supply of labor as a distinct class. The people that own the businesses, whether they're running the businesses themselves or they just own the stocks or they're the asset managers, they want to keep the supply of labor flowing so that profits go up, so that their assets appreciate in value and they get richer. And those are your billionaires. Those are your billionaire class. That is your billionaire corporate business owning class, which is subsidizing the Republican Party. And at the end of the day, that is the dirty little secret of the GOP. Let me put it to you simply. The Republican Party subsists on donations and funding from the billionaire business class, but they subsist on votes from the middle and working class. That's where they get their votes. They get their votes from states like West Virginia, where they're coal miners, states like Texas, where they're cattle ranchers, states like Indiana, where they used to make things, where there used to be factories, but they get their funding from Wall Street. So how do you reconcile these two positions? Because these are economically at odds with one another. Well, you create someone like Trump. And Trump is going to play up the cultural social angle and even the economic angle for the voters and say, build the wall, deport them all. We speak English, not Spanish. This is countries for Americans, heritage Americans, whatever. Then you get elected and you don't deport the illegals that are actually working. You make a show of it because you need those voters. You deport the criminals, you make these gestures, you convince them somehow that you're doing something that you're not actually doing. And then when you actually go to work as the president, you protect the economic interests of your donors, of the billionaires. And that's the dirty secret of the GOP. Why are you not getting mass deportations? It's not because Stephen Miller didn't figure it out, okay? That's not why. Look, they got $90 billion for ICE. They've got the Immigration and Naturalization Act. They have the jurisdiction. They have the money. They have the authority. They could do it. And they were doing it. When Trump first got in, ICE was accidentally deporting people from their jobs. They were arresting people at the meatpacking plant. They were arresting people at the Hyundai plant. They were arresting people in the Home Depot parking lots. They can do it. They were doing it. Trump told them to stop. He explicitly and specifically told Stephen Miller to stop doing those things. Why? Because he got the call. He got the call from the asset managers. He got the call from the banks. He got the call from Wall Street. They got nervous. They read the news. They saw job site raid, illegal immigrants not showing up to work, afraid of being deported. And these people that watch the news closely to get the edge, trading stocks and speculating, they said, uh-oh, we got a problem. We have persistently high inflation. We have a Federal Reserve chairman that won't bring interest rates down. We have a tariff war and a trade war with China. And now in the middle of all this, our slaves are not going to work because they're afraid that they'll get deported by Trump. So they called Trump up. They called up the Commerce Secretary. They called up all the different people in the cabinet. And they said, shut it down. Our slaves are afraid to go to work. And if we can't get them to go to work, then we got to hire American. And Americans want health care. Americans want a living wage. Americans need to be trained up because they've been excluded from this job market for 30 years because a decision was made that they would be replaced by foreigners because that's cheaper. So Trump called up Stephen Miller and said, we got to stop. We're going to give H-2A visas, H-1A visas to the illegal farm workers. He said, we're not going to deport people from job sites. We're not going to go to a job site with more than 50 workers. We're not going to implement E-Verify. Instead, we're going to have these visible patrols of ICE, right? We're going to have ICE just walking down the street, Border Patrol parading around downtown Chicago, so that all these liberals can take their pictures and go on TikTok, and Republicans will say, oh boy, the deportations are happening. Look, there they are in uniform parading around the streets. Okay? That's the trick. That's the conceit. They never intended to deport anybody, and this is why. Because you deport 10 million people and GDP is negative. You deport 10 million people and inflation ticks up. Prices are going to go up 2%. So they'll never do it. And you have to understand structurally what is happening. To get elected, Republicans need billions of dollars. Who has the discretionary funds to contribute billions of dollars every 2 years to throw into a sinkhole for an election? The capitalist class, the billionaires. That's who has the money to do it. Ken Griffin, the Bernard Marcus at Home Depot, Uline, the one of the other big Republican donors. These are the people that have the money to put up for the Republicans year over year. So the Republicans got to keep the business interests happy. In the House, in the Senate, in the White House, in the state races. And so as long as that is the case, you're not going to get your deportations. The economic interest, the capitalist interest is always going to win out. And listen, I'm not a communist, okay? When I say capitalist, I mean the people that own capital. I mean the privately accumulated capital. The people that have billions of dollars in assets. Most people have no capital. Most people have a negative net worth. You have credit card debt. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You are not a capitalist because you have no capital. You don't own your home. You don't own your car. You're delinquent on your payments. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You have no savings. You have no stocks. You have no nothing. You are not a capitalist. You are a worker. Okay? Most people are becoming basically indentured servants in a sense. Everything is as a service. And we're becoming less wealthy. So you need to think in terms of the economics. You can't vote for Trump and say, I hope he's going to do mass deportations for me. Why would he do that? He's going to do mass deportations because you're uncomfortable with diversity? I don't like that my school is all Hispanics. I voted for Trump so he can remove these people. Trump doesn't give a fuck about that. He don't live with them. You think all the immigrants live in Mar-a-Lago? You think the immigrants live in Palm Beach? The immigrants work in Palm Beach. The immigrants don't live in Trump Tower. They don't live in Mar-a-Lago. They work in Trump Tower. They work in Mar-a-Lago. They're delivering Uber Eats and DoorDash in the Trump Tower lobby. Okay? So there's no culture clash for Trump or Tucker or any of these people. It's a culture clash for us because, we have to share the commons with them. So that's the dirty secret of the GOP. You want to know why you were never going to get them? Because the billionaires that fund the GOP employ these people and profit off of them. That's why. It's got nothing to do with anything else. So if anybody tells you otherwise and says, well, I feel like Trump is going to do it. I feel like Trump is our guy and the posters are in control. And look at this press release. Dude, fuck the press releases. People say, look, the Department of Homeland Security X account just posted a meme. That doesn't matter. That's some intern. That guy's getting paid $40,000 a year. Okay? That is some shithead that is getting paid a pittance. And he's all jazzed up. He's texting mommy and daddy. I'm working in the Capitol. I'm working in D.C. That guy has no power. That guy is a nothing. Posters are in control. J.D. Vance is following somebody on Twitter. The DHS account posted a press release. Yeah, that and $1 will buy you a cup of coffee. I wipe my ass with that. You know what matters? Jamie Dimon has Trump on speed dial. That's what matters. Okay? The head of BlackRock, Larry Fink, he's got Trump on speed dial. That's what matters. And those people are not nativists, okay? They're not reading V. Dare. They're not nativists that want heritage Americans to preside. Like, what? They don't care about any of that. They're literally building skyscrapers for their bank, which is dependent on the macroeconomic success of the country. That has very little to do with how you feel about the fact they put a Mexican ice cream parlor in your neighborhood, you know? So, it is just a flawed way of thinking to think that these people that write Substack articles have more power and more influence over the Trump government than the fucking billionaires that gave Trump hundreds of millions of dollars. You see the problem? You're following some 35-year-old burnout that makes 40 grand a month, posting articles on Chronicles and a Substack, telling you everything's under control. Trump is listening to us. And you think that guy has more pull over the government than Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon. And that's insane. That's mental illness. So this is why you actually need an insurgent candidate that is truly disruptive. You need someone that is going to take on the billionaires. You need someone that is going to take on the money power. As Spengler wrote, you need a true Caesar-like figure who is going to rally the popular power, the people power, the national power against the money power. Because that's what it is. It's money. Money, it's sort of like medium is the message. It has this inertia all by itself. The market itself has to be stopped by the state. That's what has to happen. Anyway, so that's that Wall Street Journal editorial. Very, very important point to understand for anybody that would place their hopes and dreams and aspirations on the next Republican being based. And did you notice, this is the last thing I'll say, then we'll move on. You know what's really interesting? Have you noticed that all of a sudden, some of the planners at Davos are now saying that maybe we have too many migrants? Have you noticed this? That all of a sudden Klaus Schwab and Larry Fink and Hillary Clinton, they're now saying maybe we're taking in too many migrants? Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because they got red-pilled? Why do you think the United States is shutting down its borders? Why do you think the United Kingdom is going to try to control regular migration? Is it because they had an epiphany and the people have had enough and they got based? It's because we are just now starting to see technological unemployment. We are just now starting to see the disruption to the labor market caused by AI. Soon, we're going to have a very similar effect with robotics. And what do you think happens when AI and robots start replacing all the white-collar and blue-collar work? You're going to have a lot of unemployed people. What are you going to do with all of them? Now, all of those producers and workers who are also consumers, as this article says, they're now going to become beneficiaries of the state. They're going to be on UBI. And the more of those people you have, you got a lot of problems. Because these are a lot of people with nothing to do all day, and they're going to need very expensive health care, and they're going to need housing, and they're going to need food and other stuff. So now, all of a sudden, now the central planners say, I think we maybe have too many migrants. Maybe this is a problem. Well, that has everything to do with the macroeconomic trend, which is that pretty soon maybe we're not going to have a need for labor. There's a question, will there be labor? What kind of labor will there be in an economy where we have an artificial general intelligence? Now, I'm not going to weigh in on whether these predictions are true or whether they're overstated. All I'm saying is the reason what is true is that some of the planners are now expressing doubt, and that's calculated. Hillary Clinton doesn't say a word which isn't choreographed. So it's not like she made an offhand remark. This reflects a changing consensus among these elite circles, and it doesn't have to do with these nativistic sentiments. It has to do with the change in the macroeconomic projections of the people that are paying her speaking fees and buying her book. That's why you're getting that. So it just speaks to the fact that that is what drives everything, and ultimately that is what we have to get in front of if we want to have real change. So anyway, that's the Wall Street Journal. I do want to get into the situation in Iran. And we're running out of time here a little bit. We're an hour in, but I'm going to talk about Iran because this is a really big deal. We are into our coverage of the imminent action in Iran. And today we have another update for you. The buildup of military force continues. Second Aircraft Carrier Strike Group has entered the Mediterranean Sea as of today. That is the USS Gerald Ford, our biggest, most advanced aircraft carrier, which is joined by 3 destroyers, has entered the Mediterranean Sea. It is on its way to the Middle East, where it will join another carrier strike group, the USS Abraham Lincoln, as well as a number of other warships, aircraft, personnel that have been forward deployed. That aircraft carrier, once in place, will put the United States in a position as soon as Saturday to launch an all-out attack on Iran. This is according to the latest information from Axios and other sources close to the administration. They say that as early as Saturday, we will be in a position, offensively and defensively, to start the attack on Iran. And this is a story from the New York Times. It says, quote, "The rapid buildup of U.S. forces in the Middle East has progressed to the point that President Trump has the option to take military action against Iran as soon as this weekend," according to officials inside the Pentagon, leaving the White House with high-stakes choices about pursuing diplomacy or war. Mr. Trump has given no indication that he has made a decision about how to proceed, but the drive to assemble a military force capable of striking Iran's nuclear program, its ballistic missiles, and accompanying launch sites has continued this week, despite indirect talks between the two nations on Tuesday, with Iran seeking 2 weeks to come back with fleshed-out proposals for a diplomatic solution. Mr. Trump has repeatedly demanded that Iran give up its nuclear program, including an agreement not to enrich any more uranium. The Prime Minister of Israel, whose country potentially might take part in an attack, has been pushing for action to weaken Iran's ability to launch missiles at Israel. Israeli forces, which have been on heightened alert for weeks, have been making more preparations for a possible war, and a meeting of Israel's security cabinet was moved to Sunday from Thursday, according to 2 Israeli defense officials. Many administration officials have expressed skepticism about the prospect of reaching a diplomatic deal with Tehran. The indirect talks on Tuesday in Geneva yesterday ended with what Iran's foreign minister said was an agreement on a set of guiding principles. The U.S. said the two sides made progress, but added that big gaps remain. So let me set the stage here for you. We'll do a little bit of background, then we'll talk about where this is going imminently. So as you know, we are in the second leg of our campaign against Iran. It all started last year. I mean, it goes back much further than that. But in the second Trump administration, it started last year. As soon as Trump got into office, Netanyahu started coming by asking us to bomb Iran's nuclear program, which we then did. We engaged Iran in negotiations, came to an impasse, and then Israel provoked Iran into a war, and the United States intervened to cripple Iran's nuclear complex by bombing Fordo, Esfahan, and Natanz. And so we resolved the issue temporarily. And we resolved the issue temporarily by increasing Iran's breakout time. What is that timeline? How long will it take for Iran to get a nuclear bomb if they decide they want one? What is that timeline? Before those strikes, it might have been 3 months. If Iran made the decision, they'd have a primitive device in 3 months. After the strikes, maybe it's 2 years. So that's what that accomplished. Well, Netanyahu has started coming back. Came back in December. Came back again recently. He came back, I believe it was last week. And once again, Netanyahu is asking for another attack on Iran. And this time, Netanyahu is asking us to bomb their missiles. Israel says that Iran is going to preemptively attack Israel this time, and they're going to do it with ballistic missiles. And so the United States has to go in and bomb Iran's missiles before they get a chance to do that. So this is where we are. Now, after Netanyahu came to visit the United States in December, these protests mysteriously started out of nowhere in Iran, and they threatened to topple the government. The United States was going to intervene, maybe to push over the regime. But we didn't have enough assets in the region. We only had one carrier strike group. We didn't have enough defensive capabilities. Our troops were vulnerable to a retaliatory strike, so Trump called it off. But at the same time that he called off the strike, he started sending in a huge force package to remedy the situation. So Trump started sending in a ton of warships into the Middle East and a ton of missile defense systems, and started moving our forces out of harm's way, and started moving in aircraft and cargo ships and refueling aircraft and all kinds of assets to prepare for a possible attack on Iran and to defend against a counterattack from Iran. And a couple weeks ago, Trump gave them an ultimatum, and he said, either you are going to fully surrender and capitulate to our demands, or we are going to destroy your regime. And since then, the United States has been engaged in diplomacy with Iran. I say diplomacy because that's not really what it is. They've opened up indirect talks between the U.S. and Iran. And this was done at the behest of our other Muslim allies. Only after an intense lobbying effort from Turkey, Qatar, Pakistan, the Emirates, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, did the United States relent, and they gave Iran one last chance to make a deal. Now, this is a very important thing to understand, okay? A lot has been said about these talks. They are being called negotiations. They are nothing like that. That is not what this is. I've seen this for the past 3 weeks. I've even, used improper language about this. These are not negotiations. That is not what is happening here. Okay? For the past 3 weeks, yes, Washington and Tehran have engaged in indirect talks. They are not negotiations. Why? Because the United States is not negotiating. Understand the difference. Last year, arguably, the United States was negotiating. And Steve Witkoff and now they're weaker than ever before. They're in no position to negotiate. From the perspective of our administration, their proxy network has been destroyed. Their nuclear program has been buried underneath rubble. The only thing that really threatens Israel and our bases is their ballistic missile program. That's it. And so, from the perspective of Washington and Tel Aviv, they are almost neutralized. They're badly diminished. So, the United States engaging in talks is not the same as negotiations. We're not going to compromise. We're not going to change our position. What was expressed in Oman last week and what was expressed in Switzerland yesterday was not a willingness to negotiate, but rather we are giving Iran a chance to capitulate to our demands. That's what that was. Let's be very clear. The United States has been firm from the time Trump made the ultimatum several weeks ago. In Oman and in Switzerland, the U.S. position is, this is where we are, you got to meet us here. Now we're going to meet in the middle. Now we're going to work something out. The White House, the press secretary, the Secretary of State, the envoy, the president, the vice president, they have all said, our position is you're giving up enrichment or you're going to die. And that's it. And Iran is trying to stall for time. Iran is begging them for negotiations. The Ayatollah gave a dispensation for Pezeshkian and Irakshi to negotiate. And they are making these concessions. Well, we'll agree to limit enrichment for 3 years. Well, we'll give up our stockpile of enriched uranium. And the United States is saying, that's great, we love to hear it, but there's still a long way for you to go between what you're offering and what we're asking for. The United States is not moved by this. Now, what does that mean? As we've talked about, what is the substance of the negotiations? It concerns nuclear enrichment. Iran has the ability to enrich uranium, the infrastructure, the technology, the expertise, the raw material, and the United States is telling them you have to give it up. And they are telling us they will never give it up. That's really what it is. And that's what it was last year, and that's what it was when Biden tried to negotiate in 2023, and that's what it was in 2020, and that's what it was in 2015 when the JCPOA was agreed upon. That is the impasse. They have enrichment. We want them to give it up. They refuse. Where does that leave us here today? Well, like I said on Telegram and like I've been saying, the United States and Israel perceive Iran as weaker than ever before. And so now we're engaging them in this gunboat diplomacy where we put an armada off their coast, point the guns at them and say, surrender or else. And like I said, people are calling these negotiations. It isn't what it is. From the perspective of our side, we are in a position either to extract all the concessions we want, or we're going to do a regime change, or we're going to bomb them, and then whatever is remaining is going to make a deal. But that is really where we are. All of this is to say we are going to get military action. A deal is not in the cards, okay? And the reason I'm insistent upon this is because I saw an interview today between Steve Bannon and Kurt Mills. Kurt Mills is an American conservative, and he's wrong about everything. I probably agree with him on most things, but he's one of these analysts that's very Israel critical, but also very pro-Trump. And he was there last year saying that we're going to get a deal with Iran. Oh, Israel bombed Iran? Well, we'll never participate. Oh, we participated? Well, at least it only lasted a day. Kurt Mills is back for another round of being wrong about everything. I saw him on Steve Bannon today, and he said, if the United States insists on zero enrichment, then we're not going to get a deal. But if we concede, then we're going to get a deal. And I hear this. There's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of talk. There are a lot of headlines. It's bullshit. Don't listen to it. Okay? The headlines say, progress has been made in the talks. The talks have been constructive. Both sides say the talks have been good. These are press releases. Press releases from the other side. Actually think about what is at stake here. Actually think about what is said. Think about what the actual actors involved are thinking and what they want. The headlines, of course, are going to say the talks are good. Of course it's going to say that. Of course Iran is going to say they were productive. Read between the lines. The United States is saying there are gaps between our position and theirs. They've got 2 weeks to meet us where we are. What does that sound like? That's an ultimatum. Now, if the United States is giving Iran an ultimatum, then you have to think about, well, if they're not going to change their mind, will Iran? And the answer is no. If Iran has come this far, they're not going to give up enrichment. They've been tricked by the United States. They don't trust the United States. They think the United States and Israel are in cahoots to destroy Iran. So why would they give up enrichment at this point? They believe that they're going to get bombed anyway. So why are they engaging in negotiations? Well, just like the United States. They're not going to budge on their position. They're engaging in negotiations to buy time. If they can buy another 2 weeks, that's another 150 ballistic missiles that they can throw at Israel all at the same time. If they can buy another month, that's 300 missiles. It's another dozen attack helicopters from Russia. It gives them more time to put the leadership underground and protect them from a decapitation strike. So people are saying, in other words, I hope these negotiations work. I hope they're going to make a deal. I wonder how the talks are going. They're not real talks. It's not really happening. So where does that leave us? Well, we're going to war. As a matter of fact, we've been in a war. We are in a war. We have been in a war. What else do you call it? What else do you call it when we are engaging in industrial sabotage in Iran for years? Economic sanctions against Iran for years. Secondary sanctions against Iran, against their other trading partners. What do you call it when we're assassinating their leaders, when we're bombing them, when we're bombing their proxies? What do you call that other than a war? We are in a state of war against Iran, and we have been for a long time. And we are going to strike Iran again in this war. The question now is, what is that strike going to look like? And what is the goal right now? Well, let's talk about what the strike looks like. It's helpful to consider the actual forces that are assembled. So this is from the Wall Street Journal. It talks about the size of the presence that has been assembled. It says, quote, the U.S. is sending significant numbers of jet fighters and support aircraft to the Middle East, assembling the greatest amount of air power in the region since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The U.S. is ready to take action against Iran, but President Trump hasn't decided whether to order strikes, and whether the aim would be to halt Iran's nuclear program, wipe out its missiles, or to topple the regime. So it's two questions. Will he strike, and what's his end game? Like we talked about, I think it's a certainty that he will strike. Over the past few days, the U.S. has continued to move F-35 and F-22 jet fighters toward the Middle East. A second aircraft carrier loaded with attack and electronic warfare planes is on the way. Command and control aircraft are inbound, and critical air defenses have been deployed to the region in recent weeks. The firepower will give the U.S. the option of carrying out a sustained, weeks-long air war against Iran instead of the one-and-done midnight hammer strike that was carried out last June. Options include a campaign to kill scores of Iranian political and military leaders with the goal of overthrowing the government, as well as an air attack that would be limited to striking targets, including nuclear and ballistic missile facilities. Both would involve a potentially weeks-long operation. As formidable as the buildup appears, however, it is just a fraction of the assets that were deployed for the 1991 Gulf War or the 2003 invasion of Iraq. For the former, the U.S. deployed 6 aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf and Red Sea, and for Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003, the U.S. Air Force positioned 863 aircraft in the Middle East. Desert Storm in 1991 included 1,300 aircraft. So the reason that it's important to consider the size and the scope of the force is because it tells you what they're planning. In 1990, when we invaded Iraq, we had 1,300 aircraft, 6 aircraft carriers. In 2003, we had 900 aircraft. And we had a coalition with the United Kingdom and other countries. 200,000 troops invaded Iraq. We don't have anything close to that assembled in the Middle East right now. 2 aircraft carriers, squadrons instead of wings. So maybe you have 100 aircraft in total as opposed to 1,000. 2 aircraft carriers as opposed to 6. 50,000 personnel as opposed to 200,000. What does this tell us? Well, if that's the size of the force, then it's not going to be a ground invasion. And I know that sounds like, of course it's not a ground invasion, but, you never know. Because here's the thing. If you want to topple the Iranian regime, you can't just defeat them with air power. You're going to need a ground force to go in and actually kill all their soldiers. You're going to need a lot of soldiers on the ground to go and actually secure the cities and the infrastructure and kill the personnel and gain control over the country. If you don't do that, well, then there's still going to be 1 million Iranian armed forces and Revolutionary Guard tomorrow. Or a week after your air campaign, and there's still going to be a chain of command. So you actually do need a ground force to have some replacement government, to actually have regime change. If that's not in place, then it doesn't look like they're going to pursue a ground war or a regime change war. So what is this force equipped to do? If it's not going to be Desert Storm, if it's not going to be Iraqi Freedom, what is it going to look like? Well, this looks like the force package that was assembled in April 2024 and July 2024, when the United States was there to simply deter Iran from going all out against Israel. It was a deterrent. It looks like the force package that was assembled last June when we bombed Iran once from the United States. It was missile carriers in the region that launched some Minuteman missiles at Iran's nuclear complex. It was B-2 stealth bombers from Missouri, which actually flew to Iran and bombed Fordo and Natanz with the bunker buster bombs. It wasn't even anything from Diego Garcia, wasn't anything from the region. So, if the force package resembles those instances, then what you have is this. Probably enough force to carry out an air campaign, and enough force to defend U.S. personnel against a counterattack. It looks like that is the type of force that they have in place. Now, what kind of air campaign can we expect? Again, that's really the question. Is it going to be an air campaign to destroy Iran's nuclear complex and missiles? Is it to destroy what is left of their nuclear program and to prevent them from making additional missiles and launching missiles at Israel so that the country has a degraded defensive capability? Or is the goal here to kill all of Iran's leaders? Because that could be the purpose, to go and bomb heavily fortified facilities where Iran's military and civilian leadership are hiding out. In the former scenario, we are making Iran weak and vulnerable, potentially for future negotiations. You destroy their missiles, you destroy their nuclear program, and then you can basically impose regime change on them. And really, there's no reason to negotiate with Iran at that point. They got nothing left. It'll take them years to rebuild. In the other scenario, you kill all the leadership so that they are replaced from lower in the chain of command, and then they negotiate. It's helpful, I think, to look at what happened in Venezuela. We put one carrier strike group off the coast of Venezuela. We didn't even really kill that many people. We didn't even really do any serious airstrikes. What did we do in Venezuela? We plucked out one guy, and then what did we do immediately after? We put a carrier off the coast, we bombed some of their fishing boats, we bombed one of their ports, we plucked out their top guy, and then what remained was pliable and willing to negotiate. Maduro was succeeded by his vice president, and now she is giving an audience to our Secretary of Energy. And you got this, which is so insane to think about. We kidnapped your president, the vice president succeeds him, and now she is standing on a stage with our energy secretary who is here to take all their oil. Hi, nice to meet you. You just kidnapped my boss. Now take all of our oil. Let's pose for a photo op. But what was the MO there? What was the Trump 2 MO in Venezuela? It was using a limited amount of power, using a limited amount of, you could say, smart power, hard power, but employed in a limited and restrained and smart way to decapitate part of the regime. You could call it a partial decapitation, not even necessarily a regime change. I like the word decapitation because the regime did not actually change at all. Same security apparatus, same political apparatus, it's all the same. We just took out one of the top guys. And then, and this is the most important step, we went to the successor and said, okay, now what do you want to do? You can come to New York and we can put you in prison too, because we own you, we can do these things to you, or you can make a deal. And Maduro's successor said, okay, I'll make a deal. I'll give you all the oil. Maybe this is what they're going for in Iran, and maybe that's why it worked out this way. They did Venezuela first, and then they sent the same aircraft carrier from the Caribbean to the Middle East. And they're telling Iran, you're going to surrender, you're going to capitulate, you're going to make a deal. We put this huge presence there. We demonstrated our capabilities in Venezuela. We demonstrated our ability and willingness and resolve to use force. And now we're going to do something to Iran. What specifically it's going to be, it's hard to say. Maybe it's both. Maybe we go in and for a week, we just rape them. Like, we just destroy their missiles, we destroy what's left of their nukes, we kill a ton of their leadership, and then whoever gets up in the rubble, whether that's Iranian armed forces, who knows? It's some element of the opposition which has been collaborating with the CIA or something. Whoever remains after the week of bombing, we're going to go to that guy and say, all right, are you ready to negotiate now? And maybe that's the play. Maybe that's what it looks like at this point in time. And the reason I say that is because if you don't have a ground force, if you don't have popular opposition on the ground, which is armed and trained, like in Syria, when they were Al-Qaeda, but whatever. If you don't have some form of a ground force, if you don't have an alternative regime to take the place of the existing regime, then you can't do regime change. You can bomb them to kingdom come. But if you don't have ground forces, if you don't have someone with legitimacy, with an organization that's ready to step up, the regime will not change. You're just going to kick the can down the road until the next time you got to bomb them after they've rebuilt their defenses. So if these things are not in place, then that leads me to believe it's not a real regime change. You're not going to topple the regime with a week of bombing. So what's really the goal here? Well, again, you may not change the regime, but you can kill a lot of people in the regime, and you can destroy a lot of their stuff. And after a week of doing that, maybe whoever is left, with whatever is left, is going to be far more willing to make a deal. Maybe that's the play. And I continue to believe that the administration, on some level, must recognize that an all-out war would be catastrophic. We are in a midterm election year. Do you think the Trump administration believes it is wise to engage Iran in a protracted war like Iraq that is going to go on forever? No. They don't want to be fighting a war in Iran in November. They don't want to be fighting a war in Iran where oil prices get jacked up because the Strait of Hormuz closes, where Americans are getting blown to smithereens in Al Udeid and elsewhere. They don't want it to go on for a long period of time. They want it to be quick, painless, and they want to succeed. And I think that is their thinking. So that would lead me to believe they're going to use their limited amount of force in the region for another smart decapitation strike, and maybe as an alternative or on top of that, they're going to degrade Iran's defenses. And on the other side of that, they're going to have something like what you saw in Venezuela. Maybe it's not even a regime change. Maybe you just get a president who's going to work with us. Maybe you get an Ayatollah, or maybe the Ayatollah's dead after this. But you're going to get a government that can negotiate with the United States that will not resist. Now, whether that is successful is an altogether different question. How successful will this operation be? It depends. And will there be a pliable regime or remnant of the regime that is willing to work with the United States? That seems unlikely. But we just don't know. We don't know who's going to die, who's going to be killed, who will be remaining, and how their psychology will change after seeing what we're capable of. But I think that is going to be the approach. And I think it's going to happen within a matter of weeks. I don't think that the United States intends to be hanging out there with all of this force in the region indefinitely. I don't think they want to do this later. I think they want to get it done as quickly and as soon as possible for contingency's sake and for other reasons. So I think we're going to get, within 2 to 4 weeks, you're going to get a major air campaign. It's going to target the missiles. It's going to retarget nuclear. And I think it's going to target some element of the regime, probably specifically the Ayatollah, because ultimately he is holding up the deal. The Ayatollah is the supreme leader. The Revolutionary Guard answers to him, and the Revolutionary Guard built the proxy network. He will not allow Pezeshkian to negotiate much of the time. He is the sovereign of the country. It is an Islamic republic under the control of jurists, led by the top cleric, the supreme leader. He's the symbol of the regime. He's the head of state. He's the sovereign. So I think that that is roughly what it's going to look like. That's my guess right now. If I were to forecast it, and this stuff is never precise, but if I were to forecast it, that is my best guess based on what we have in the region. Of course, anything can happen. But given the two positions, what's being said by the White House, what's being said by Iran, what either side is willing to accept, the amount of force there, it's not too big, but it's not small either. Midterm election, the timeline, political constraints, I think you take all that information together, and that's about as good of a picture as you're going to get about what this is going to be. And here's the thing. Ultimately, you know there is going to be a confrontation because Israel wants it. And that's really all you need to know. You might think it's political suicide for Trump to go to war in Iran. You might think it's geopolitical suicide to pursue regime change in Iran. You may think this is totally insane and a terrible idea, and I agree with you. As to whether it is likely, think about what is more likely. Think about how far Israel has come here. They have defeated Hamas. They have defeated Hezbollah. They have defeated Bashar al-Assad. They have removed the Revolutionary Guard from Syria. They've gotten the United States to bomb Iran's nuclear program. Iran has used a lot of its ballistic missiles. There was a popular uprising a month ago. Their economy's never been weaker. Secondary sanctions are in effect. They've got a favorable president in the White House. They've got a favorable party in the Congress. In a word, Israel has come all this way in the past 2 years. So much fighting, so many bombs. They've expended so much political capital. They've lost the affection and the support of the world. And everyone hates them. And their ultimate goal is regime change in Iran. That's what all of this has been for. Rolling back the proxy network systematically, destroying Iran's strategic weapons, its missiles and nukes, and then cutting off the head of the snake. And once you have a favorable regime in Iran, Israel has hegemony over the Middle East. Because they're the only nuclear power. They have a qualitative military edge guaranteed by the United States. And all the countries there will be under the suzerainty of the United States. Think of it. Turkey is a NATO country. Egypt has a treaty with the United States. So does Jordan. Lebanon is under the thumb of the United States. Syria is working with the United States. Iraq is a puppet of the United States. Saudi Arabia dependent on us. The Emirates, ally of Israel. Qatar, dependent on us increasingly. You get rid of Iran, that's it. Pakistan is a U.S. ally. You get rid of Iran, and Israel has their run of the Middle East. We won't have hegemony there. They will. That's the grand prize. That's what they're playing for. And so is it more crazy that the U.S. will go to war with Iran for regime change, or is it more crazy that Israel gives up short of their grand prize? They've come all this way. Iran is weaker than ever. The window is wide open but closing. Favorable governance in the United States. All the sacrifices they made, are they going to stop short of toppling the regime? And think of, if they stop short and Iran somehow makes a deal, well, what happens? Then they get integrated, investment pours in, their economy comes back, the people aren't angry anymore, they rebuild their missiles, then they're good, then they're never going anywhere. So Israel is either going to totally lose or totally win, and they always get what they want. So I think odds are it's regime change, guaranteed. Only way that's going to happen is with the United States is going to intervene in some form. Now, the question is just how that's going to happen. Are they going to just cut the head off with the Ayatollah? Are they going to have to topple the regime forcefully? It all depends on how this plays out militarily. And that is where we are. It is a war. It is a military confrontation. And we are serving Israel's aims here. And it doesn't look like there's any way out of it. So that is where we are with Iran. But like I said, we're going to be watching it very closely into tomorrow, Friday, next week. Looks like the weekend is going to be the earliest. Rubio is preparing to visit Israel at the end of the month. Iran was given 2 weeks yesterday. So the window looks like Saturday to a week from this coming Tuesday. That is going to be the window, maybe when a strike will occur, although of course it could be after that as well. But that's where we are. So we'll keep an eye on it. But that's all I have for you tonight. We're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say. This has been a long show. I'm getting a little bit exhausted here. It's been like an hour and 40-minute monologue. Can you believe a 100-minute monologue? It's a little nutty. All right. Okay, let's take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. I think that's the best analysis you're going to get at this point in time. But as always, you know, we got to wait and see. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see what we got here.
MG42 sent $20. Are you on the spectrum or something? You talk about Pat Buchanan all the time. He wanted a republic, not an empire. You two would disagree on 90% plus of things.
That's crazy. Oh, well, I talk about Pat Buchanan, so, we agree on everything. Look, I like Pat Buchanan, and I agree with him about immigration, and I agree with him about the Israel lobby, but we are an empire, and we really have been for a long time. We've been an empire since like the 1890s. So I never agreed with that. I never agreed with this paleo-libertarian, paleo-conservative idea that we're this little Chungus republic. We're this, we're like a post office with the U.S. flag, and we're going to have a little diner. No, we are an empire. We have aircraft carriers. We have, thousands of nukes. That's just what we are. So, and that's what we were always destined to be. It's geographical determinism. We're insulated by the oceans. We have a supermassive population. We have all this territory and all these resources, and we're an industrial superpower. And so all we can do is expand. It's just what we are. It's just like built into our political form, is that we are an empire. And you may not like that, and there's aspects of it that you might not like, but that is what we are, and that is how we have to play. A country like this cannot just be a little country. Okay, and I really resent this small town America thing where we're deluding ourselves and saying we're just like an ice cream parlor and a post office and a town hall with a little American flag, and we're just the Boy Scouts. Okay, but we're signing up for the military to go on aircraft carriers, of which we have 10, in the global war against communism, and we're making a billion bombers and tanks, and we have colonies, bro. What's Puerto Rico? We're an empire. That is what we are, and I like that. I disagree with Buchanan on this, so I don't have to. You just seem like a low IQ person, honestly. You just seem stupid. You talk about Pat Buchanan, but you disagree with him on this. Yeah, look, Pat Buchanan red-pilled me on demographic replacement, but he also lost. So I don't, and maybe this is sacrilegious. He's inspirational, and he's right about a lot of things, and I think he's a hero, but he lost. And the reason that you were able to lionize him is because he lost. If he won, they would be vilifying him like Hitler, but he lost. So they lionize Richard Nixon, these Republican dorks. They lionize Buchanan. They lionize Trump. Why? These people are losing. So we need a winner. And we need someone that's going to fight for America first and actually deliver it. And, look, Pat Buchanan made a lot of mistakes. He endorsed George Bush. Never forget that. And ultimately, this whole Buchanan Brigade thing, who knows? Maybe it was just too low energy. Maybe we need something a little more imaginative.
070 sent $25. Earnestly, other than nothing. What kind of commentary from Super Chats would you enjoy engaging with?
I don't know, man. Try and figure it out. Okay. I love that. Well, what do you want from us? I don't know. Just here's the thing. Most of the Super Chats are trying to antagonize me, and a lot of them are just really dumb. And it's kind of just that simple.
Mommy sent $20. Might be my lingering Ben Shapiro while I was talking, but why is no one in the admin underlining the fact that Trump's ICE is much more efficient than Obama's? Obama had 3.4x more mistake arrests per 1,000, 1 death per 14K detainees. Trump 1/19K, and over 6 mistakenly deported. ICE was performing well despite all the unrest.
It doesn't matter, bro. They ran that playbook in 2018 when they were putting kids in cages. They said Obama made the cages. What are we doing? That is totally a Ben Shapiro thing. Why haven't they pointed out that the Democrats did it? It's do you think that's the issue? It actually doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they just need to deliver the deportations. They just need to shut up and just arrest the Mexicans and deport them. It doesn't matter how they spin it or what they tell the media. They just got to do it. They can do it. So, why won't they highlight that Obama is more based? Why won't they highlight the fact that Obama was arresting and killing more illegals. And that's supposed to make us like Trump more? I don't know. Maybe they don't want to defend Obama.
Mitt Romney sent $20. Niggas will hear Nick chuckle every time he reads Nick the Dicky Bones, and genuinely still call him an evil nuts.
Yeah, well, it's kind of
John
funny.
Porter sent $20. Anecdote.
Dude. That's actually just crazy. How are you saying anecdote? I get some of them being wrong. I get a few of them being wrong. But anecdote? Okay, macabre, French, who really knows? Is it macabre? Is it macabre? You know, I would get not having that one 100%. And blitzkrieg, okay, it's a German word, but anecdote? That's crazy. Anecdote? I literally just can't even believe it. How has this person gotten so far in her career and she's just like a functional retard? You think she's like this clever grifter or she's super sophisticated? She's just a dumb idiot. Anecdote.
Matt from Holland sent $20.
Yeah, try sounding it out.
Sydney wants an until today, because I could just feel, from seeing her stupid face on the thumbnail, that it would know exactly the way it meant. After all the nagging and interruptions, how did you not punch this funny bitch in the mouth?
Is that a real question? Yeah, she's annoying. Women are annoying.
Matt Larry 777 sent $20. Diplomatically and with respect, your voice as a real Catholic would mean so much to the issue of Kerry preaching boiler and free speech.
Okay, bro. That's crazy. I don't know, man. I mean, there's gonna be a war with Iran, and you're telling me about a MAGA mom who got kicked off a committee. Look, don't get me wrong. I support her 100%. She's super based. It's kind of irritating, though. It's like, well, I would think you would care, but it's like, oh, what do you want me to say? This Catholic lady got kicked off a committee because she criticized Israel. It's the Trump government. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's like going to Disney World and saying, fuck Mickey Mouse. You know? It's like going to Orlando Disney World and getting in the middle of Magic Kingdom and saying, fuck Mickey Mouse. Wait, why are you kicking me out? Dude, she goes into some committee in the Trump administration and says, I hate Israel. Wait, why are you kicking me out? You can't do this. It's like, what's the story? What's actually the story? Woman criticized Israel and Jew-controlled government and got fired? I mean, okay, I guess, bro. What do you want me to say about it? You want me to... See, this is what I really don't like. This show is about telling you something that you don't know. This show is about giving you analysis that you can't hear from other shows. And what people just desperately crave from me is that I am your pressure release valve. And I'm not that guy. I'm not going to ever do that. I'm not going to get, all right, everybody, I'm getting up on my soapbox. And I am not going to Jester Max and tell you something you already know. And just get you worked up. Okay, that's not what this show is. You want to know why I haven't covered that story? Because it's boring to me. It's the same story. Oh, Trump appointee got fired for criticizing Israel? Yeah, water is wet. News at 10. Okay, black person arrested for crime. More at 11. Like, really? What the fuck do you want from me? You want me to do a 30-minute monologue where I just stretch that one out? This is America. You shouldn't be fired for criticizing a country that isn't America. Blah, blah. Like, what does that do for you, fucktard? Seriously. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. Don't play that with me all of a sudden. This super chatter goes the other night. She goes, why aren't you covering this story? Then tonight, I think a Catholic like you would really care. Well, what is it that you're going for here? You think I'm doing a party trick here? You want to hold your hands up like some Protestant and go, amen, amen. He said the thing about Israel that we all already know and have heard 6 million times before. Don't start with that, seriously. That's not what this show is. This show is about actually telling you what's happening in the world. We're on the verge of a war. We're on the verge of a war with Iran. And you're like, why won't he talk about this like Catholic that got fired from a thing? And I support her. I told you I support her. Followed her on Twitter. Obviously, you know my thoughts about this. But what is that even really doing for anybody? For crying out loud. But some people are just desperate to hear it in this performative way. No, but I want to hear you get all angry about it. I want to hear more rhetoric. You know what I have to say about that. Why even do the exercise? You already know what I'm going to say about that. Everybody does. It's obvious. And it's just like, okay, a low-level committee person lost her committee seat. Okay, it happens every day. People get fired for, criticizing Jews every day, practically. Warner Brothers is considering a bid from Paramount. We're on our way to war with Iran. And you're saying, what about this committee woman? And whatever. You want to hear the story, fine. But you're going to then come at me for my credentials? Crazy. You know what? I take that back. I shouldn't have been mean to you. And I'm rereading your super chat. Your super chat was not nasty. Diplomatically and with respect. I take it back. Okay, I shouldn't have been. I apologize. I shouldn't have been rude to you. But maybe I read that wrong. When you say like a real Catholic like you should be weighing in on this, I apologize. I jumped the gun. I misread that. I read it a different way than it was written. But that is how I feel about it. I really, to tell you the truth, in a less hostile way, I really just feel like you already know what I'm going to say about it. It's not going to change anything. It's not even really an important battle. I feel sorry for her. Obviously, it's not justified, but she's not going to get rehired. We all already know there's much bigger battles to fight here. That's why I'm not really going all in on that one. Someone says L fault. It's not a fault. I legitimately misread it. I barely listen to these super chats. I heard real Catholic and my cortisol went through the roof. It's like the first guy says, Buchanan would have never done this. Then this one, a real Catholic. And I was like Bruce the Shark in Finding Nemo. I smell blood. I just went ape shit. I chimped out. I went full Cameron Owens. No, but I apologize. You're a friend of the show. I shouldn't have gotten nasty. I misread your super chat. But legitimately, that's why I'm not all over that one. Because I think, in my opinion, that is just part of this genre of slop where people are, it's like, there's a lot of stuff that matters in this country with organized Jewry, and some of these things are just the downstream effects. And what I choose editorially to cover on the show is a choice in and of itself. I'm really interested in the way that power works. I'm interested in the Warner Brothers deal. I'm interested in the war in Iran. I'm interested in the macroeconomics of mass migration. This kind of like, I got hired by Israel R Us, criticized Israel, got kicked out. It's like, okay, you don't go to McDonald's and insult Ronald, You don't walk into McDonald's and say, I fucking hate Ronald McDonald. Wait, why are you kicking me out? I hate Big Macs and I don't like Happy Meals. Wait, what's happening? Why are you throwing me out? And that's what this is. Okay, she's on a committee. She criticized Israel. She got fired. Well, I mean, dude, Netanyahu is his boss. That's just what it is.
Anyway. Ryder sent $50. Did you see the news about the fraternity hazing at the University of Iowa? It looks harmless, but people are losing their minds.
I did.
People are calling it ritualistic grooming. Tim Pool was saying he wished the cops could beat the fuck out of the guys running it. Feminine society. Anyways, love the show on RKT4NJF.
That is totally insane. And look, I'm not like a frat guy. I'm not pro-frat. At the same time, who really cares? These cops are coming in and they're totally cortisol spiking. It's like, bro, who cares? Seriously? Increasingly, I am just becoming very anti-cop. And you want to know why? Because we have no laws in this country. There's no laws at all. No accountability for anybody. Come here illegally, don't get deported. Steal a car and then use it to mug somebody, no arrests have been made. Oh, but a frat guy wants to do a little hazing, call in the National Guard. I blow a stop sign or go 15 over the speed limit. Here's your $15,000 ticket. So who cares? I mean, what's really the harm? Ritualistic grooming. It is what it is. It's part of the culture. It's an initiation thing into the social club. It is a part of the culture. Now, if people are dying, that's one thing. If people are getting raped and killed, like, okay, put a stop to this. But some 20-year-old men are being hazed. Who gives a shit? Seriously. I never got hazed. I didn't join a fraternity. You join a fraternity, that's what happens. As long as they're not doing anything illegal, why are people being arrested? I don't get it. And I don't know the whole story. I just saw the video and people are freaking out, but it's like, honestly, the frat guy was such a chiller. If anything, I respected the frat leader because the cops are like interrogating him and he's giving them nothing. He's like, I don't know. They're like, call the guy that runs the frat. And he's like, we don't have his phone number. They're like, really? You don't have his phone number? He's like, nope, none of us have it. And the cop's like, well, you're not really being helpful. And the guy's like, I don't know what to tell you. So give them nothing. Give them nothing. They are agents of the government. They are there to put you in trouble, okay? They did it to me. You saw it. That's your little bag of tricks. Don't talk to the cops. You have rights. Fifth Amendment. You know, don't work against yourself. People think, I'm so cynical about that. People think that the cops are there to help you, and sometimes they are. But if they're asking you questions, they're not. They're actually there to hurt you. And they try to tell you, well, if you cooperate, it'll get better. It never gets better. So, yeah, so that was crazy. And it's crazy to see all the people that were criticizing that. Who really cares?
USMC Broiler sent $20. Did you see Candace mispronounce the word? Anecdote. This is what happens when Big Dictionary goes woke. Anecdote.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know how that's even possible. I don't know how you even get that far in your career. And at this point, it's such a long list. I was talking to some buddies of mine. It's like, we all have one or two words that we mispronounce. It happens. We all have one or two words that, for whatever reason, we have just habitually said it the wrong way our entire lives. And it is what it is. You're waiting for someone to correct you. And I've had a few of those. But for her, it's like every other word, you know. Let's go down the list. Reminiscent. Satiate. Architecture. What else is there? Compartmentalize. Legitimatize. Green beret. Macabre. Debacle. Not debacle. 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 Anecdote. Not an anecdote, an anecdote. I mean, this is like a long list now. That's a lot of words to mess up. Debacle? You never heard the word debacle before. You never heard the word for reminiscent. I'm reminiscing. She goes, reminiscent. Reminiscent. Debacle. Anecdote. It's like, dude, that's a lot of words. Someone says Nick can't say homogeneous. Heard him butcher that 100 times. No. Homogeneous is a different word with a different definition. Stupid. Hello. Oh, yeah. Just like, fill me up with that. Wait, pause. I don't know what I'm going for with that. But more of that, please. Yes. Fill up my cup. My cup overflow with this. You can't say homogeneous. Yeah, that's because homogeneous, I'm so glad you brought that up. Homogeneous is referring to mixtures and solutions. Homogeneous is referring to something that is uniformly the same, okay? If you're talking about a homogeneous country, you're talking about a country that is uniform demographically. If you're talking about salt mixed into water, that is a homogeneous solution, okay? That's the difference, dumbass. Nice try, pal. PP Nickel Nuts in the chat. Fuck you. Nick can't say, I heard him butcher that 100 times. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. Go back to school, bitch. There's a difference. Google it. Try Googling it. It's free. You have been using homogeneous wrong your entire life. You just got Candace.
Goodness.
So no, completely different. Different words. So anyway, he tried it. He tried it, he failed. Oh, grandiose. Burrow. She said grandiose. Instead of saying grandiose, she said grandiose. That's not even how it's spelled. Some sort of grandiose. I have delusions of grandiosity. I have delusions. Candace is suffering from delusions of grandiosity. I went to Grandoise City and everybody knew you. Grandoise. That's crazy. What was the other one? Bureau. Federal Bureau of Investigations. Insane. That's a lot of stuff to fuck up. We all have, let's be charitable. There's always one or another words that we use in the wrong way, or that we mispronounce. It's a big language, there's a lot of words. You say a lot of words, you're going to get a few wrong. But that's a lot of words, and those are some basic ones. Bureau? How do you get bureau wrong? Grandiose? Spell it out. I mean, seriously, spell it out. Oh, man, debacle? Oh, you wonder, you know what it is, though? Do you know what that tells you? It means that she is just dumb. Because she has heard those words pronounced correctly, but she just can't memorize them. She has heard all of those words pronounced correctly, but she just can't remember. Like, she's either not paying attention or not remembering, but, like, that's an IQ thing. The reason high IQ people have a big vocabulary is because they have that recall, the memory, neural pathways. And it's a sign of low IQ to just get it wrong. Like,
Texas Joe said $100. Kind of crazy. They tried to destroy you when you were 18. You were a literal child.
I know. I was a literal baby. I was 17 when I started my first show. I was a literal child. And, yeah, it's just, honestly, I'm kind of a child now. You know, why is everybody attacking this 27-year-old child? You know? 27 is still, I still feel kind of childlike at heart. How can you really say that I can consent? Why is this 27-year-old child being attacked and arrested for battery? You know, can I pay you in blocks? Can I pay my battery fine? Can I pay for your phone in blocks? I'm just a little baby. Can I pay for your phone in blocks? So, yeah, I mean, seriously, why am I being held accountable for my actions?
$25. Theo talks about you with Dave Smith on Dio's show. 2:51 and 35 seconds. This was a few weeks ago, so maybe you have seen it. Theo collabed with it.
I did see that, but he didn't invite me on the show.
Generic broker said $20. If you ever encounter anyone named Levigal broker, do not trust him. FG.
Okay, good to know.
Drew Mitchner said $20. Yo, little chud, your table left lane driving the other night is completely wrong. Left lane is for passing, not to go fast. The fact someone was passing you on the right makes you the asshole. Hit the bench press, you walk, we love you, happy Ash Wednesday. Latin plus emoji.
Okay, but if you're passing somebody, then you're going faster than them. Hello? If someone in the left lane is going slower than you, then they're not passing you. Do you even understand what you're saying? If you're going faster than everybody on the road, then you need to be in the left lane. Because you're just going to be passing everybody. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you're in the left lane because you're just passing everybody that's on the road. You know? The cars are just going by in your rearview mirror. And if you're not going 100 miles an hour, then you need to be in the right lane. Because somebody is going 100 miles an hour. So you can't be passing if you're not the fastest. Duh. But anyway, so I don't think you understand what that really is. I don't know. Maybe you're just not from.
Base day F sent $25 or I'm maxing in my Epstein quarters if tomorrow. Such quality. Very impressed. I feel like a billionaire in this day. Full face emoji.
I'm glad you like it. Thank you. Yeah, that's totally insane. You know, the left lane is for the fastest driver. You know.
Soup Sage Bro sent $20. Greetings, Nicholas. Did you hear about the great Richard Spencer happening? He needs to look smack say SAP.
He has been getting the mushroom Swiss at a number of different places, is what I've heard. Yeah. Yeah. Richard, come on now. Come on now. What are we, bulking? The bulk has gone too far. I'm just going to assume he's bulking, okay? And we're just waiting for a little cut.
Crisis King 444 sent $25. Crowder had a fantastic monologue today about unbearable whites and anti-white racism. Don't you, Crowder? Or is he pandering lately? Happy lad. You should give him super chats.
I'm considering it. Yeah, Crowder's been really excellent. He said something the other day about how white people need to stick together. Beautiful. He's been really on point.
Canadian chat sent $20. Your message is so spot on that even as a Canadian, I'd take a bullet for you. One critique of the show is that you'll spend hours talking Trump, but then your outro is still him saying America first.
Yeah, we gotta change the song at this point, probably.
Trump Sting sent $20. Trump Sting sent $20. Was Joel saying that Noah's son slept with his mom completely out of left field, or was that just me?
You're talking about the Joel Webben collab? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he has this theory that the races were created because of this, like, I don't know, there's, like, other people in the beginning of the genealogy that we have to infer the existence of, and I don't... Here's the thing, like, I don't need to go back to the book. Like, there's clearly black people and white people, you know what I mean? So... He's like, well, and you know, I don't know what that theory is. That's the first time I had ever heard it, but we were talking about it. He's like, yeah, so, you know, at the beginning of humankind, like, there's some other part of the genealogy that's missing, and that's why there are races. And I'm like, I know there's races because I've met them. And they're obviously distinct.
Gail Ross sent $20. I'm not going to dox the poor guy, but the Valentine's fan who got his girl stole my clav and started crying has both a Jewish first name and Jewish last name. He's commenting on all the videos of the incident on his main account asking if he mocked.
Really?
It just gets better and better.
Wow. No, is that real? He doesn't look Jewish, though. I don't know, I guess he kind of looks Jewish. I didn't get a good look. Well, that complicates things. Because if the guy's Jewish, then that's a W. It is racial, okay? It is racial. So if a white guy's taking a Jewish guy's girl, that's a W. We don't know that, okay? Let's not make any assumptions. Sometimes that could be deceptive. Sometimes the guy's just German. You know, a lot of Jews have German names. And sometimes, you know, you have a Jewish-sounding name, but you're just German. It's possible. So let's be careful. We don't want any friendly fire, but that would be really funny if that were true.
Lopin sent $22.
That's revenge for the club of cost.
Lopin sent $22. Been infiltrating the local GOP for about 5 years now. You have to have an infinite ability to suffer foods.
Well, you know, that's just life, okay? That's the show. That's your life. That's my life. That's just life. What do you think I do? What do you think this is? I'm infiltrating the GOP, but I have to talk to all these dummies. Okay, what do you think I do every single day? What do you think I'm doing all the time? That's just life. That is everybody's waking existence.
Royce sent $20. Have you squashed your beef with Josiah and Isabella Bonilla? It seems like they were pretty pivotal in helping the Vicar get out of jail in Arizona.
No, I haven't.
Dr. Richard Wood sent $20. Hi, Nick. Dr. Richard Wood says obstetric ultrasound Frimax's baby quote brains. Don't notice Max A. children. St. Notice on Max and gender reveal logging to decrease odds at risk by 8 times. At St. Notice on 5061.
Yeah, you know, you keep moving that. I don't know if I believe that. Sounds crazy.
Jennifer Brody sent $50. I'm in Minneapolis today. I had to fend off a porch fire while I was home alone with my 2 toddlers. Mentioned it to my husband's family and no one expressed any empathy. One literally said better of having get stolen than a neighbor. People truly are demented. I want to make millions so I can give every cent to AF and get our country back.
That's actually unbelievable. How does that even happen? You shouldn't mess with the porch pirates if you're like a woman with your kids, but that kind of stuff just drives me crazy. Like, I just see red even thinking about that kind of thing. Yeah, it's just no one cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The other day, I was driving into the city, and I'm on 290, and I'm going to Ida B. Wells, you know how it is? And I see this black woman driving on the highway. She opens her window, throws all her garbage out the window, then she goes like this out the window. Animals. People are animals. She throws all her garbage out the window like it's a garbage can, then she goes like this. And I pulled up right next to her, and I just shook my hand. I just gave her the most disappointing thing. I just said, seriously. Yeah, it's because nobody cares. These fucking animals. Nobody cares. We're pirates, pulling up, taking your package, throwing their litter out the car, mugging people, carjacking. Nobody cares. No one will stand up to these animals. So, yeah, that's what it is. And it's sad that people don't get mad. You know, people don't even care. People just shrug their shoulders. Well, then you deserve to lose your country, you know.
Neville Will sent $3. Hi, Nick. I really liked the stream from a few months ago when you covered how wars like the FCRI push. Well done, covering depths of what government acquisition data to circumvent the 4A plus Palantir plus Elon emails.
That's crazy.
David Leibniz,
Yeah, I guess.
sent $20.
I guess, bro.
The U.S. strategically bombs as many Iranian generals and government officials as it can. Day 2. The remaining Iranian regime retaliates by launching all of its missiles and annihilating Israel. Day 3. The U.S. decisively strikes the Ayatollah and the rest of his regime. Day 4. Israel and Iran are gone. So win/win.
Holy four-dimensional. I can't tell if you're joking or not. Yeah, it's all five-dimensional chess, bro.
Franco's Town Drew sent $30. What's your view on being persistent with a girl? I asked the girl for her number on Valentine's Day and said no. It's a socially met word on things like BBC or London. Should I continue pursuing or move on to another girl?
You're asking me for dating advice? Why? As a girl for a number, she said no. Should I keep going? No, dude. She hates you. She hates you. No, because she's disgusted by you, and you need to move on. Pathetic. I'll be seeing her monthly. Should I keep pursuing? Dude, let it go. No, absolutely. If she shot you down, she's only hating you more if you keep going. It ain't a movie, kid. You're living in La La Land, kid, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. I mean, but by that I mean you're delusional. Not like you're in the best movie of all time. You're living in La La Land, kid. She's getting slammed by 500 football players while you're at work because you are not a genetically superior male. Okay. You were not born a genetically superior male, and she hates you. Maybe you'll be lucky, and in 10 years she'll settle down with you for your money, if you have any. I love the framing of the question. What's your view on being persistent with a girl? What do you think I think about that? You think I'm begging people? Hey, me again. Want to talk now? Hey, can I take you out again? You think that's me? That's crazy. You need to understand, if Clavicular pulled up, she would throw herself at him. She would be begging him to suck his dick. And you ask her for her number and she says no. Think about that. Now think about that. A genetically superior male walks down the street, 6'5", handsome, muscular, and she literally, she is just following the ball, okay? She's got her eye on the ball. Oh my gosh. And if he walked up and said, hey, what's up, bitch? Want to fuck? She would be like, yeah, that is what she would do. You, pussy, go up to her. You work up the courage. Hey, can I get your number? Ew, no, get away from me. It's over for you, okay, pal? Move on. Find an uglier girl. That's the story, okay? Being persistent with the girl. You think it's a TV show? You think this is a TV show, really? You think this is iCarly and what, you're Freddie? I don't know, does he ever get with Carly? But that's literally what you're doing. You think it's a TV show. The persistent lover boy simp is going to get the girl. Dude, the girl was slamming 500 football players. And you're writing poems. You're writing your Valentine. You're living in La La Land. Time to wake up. You gotta read the Black Pill. You gotta watch the Black Pill. Day of the Black Pill. Do they even still have that up? I think they took it down, but somebody posted it on Twitter over the weekend. You gotta watch Aggie, Day of the Black Pill. That's the answer.
Dr. Gromiper sent $20. No message.
Thank you.
Dr. Gromiper sent $20. Praying for you, Nick.
Thanks.
Dustin Weimer sent $20. Praying for my brother Joe Enders. He was recently fired from his parish job for defending Catholic doctrine on Ash Wednesday, and his wife is due in a few months.
I heard about that, yeah. Yes, well, we'll be praying for him. Hopefully he finds another job. Big Joe, he's a good guy from Church Militant, and I've known him for a little while, so I wish him the best. Good luck to him.
Cole Willingham 13 sent $100. Moved to Lakeview for a job, got robbed and witnessed a murder outside my apartment within 8 months of living there. His name was William Hare. Spent the last 2 years in downtown Algie enjoying the beautiful area. Best gym nearby is F in downtown WS. Totally empty from 9 to 10. Avoid LA Fitness and X Sport. Total degenerates there. God bless you, Nick.
Thank you for the big super chat. Got robbed, witnessed a murder. Jeez. That's terrible. Downtown LaGrange? Hey, let's go. Yeah, downtown LaGrange is great. LaGrange is a great area. It's a nice pocket, but it's changing. This used to be a nice pocket. Southwest suburbs. Brookfield, LaGrange, LaGrange Park, Western Springs, Countryside, LaGrange Highlands. That whole area used to be real nice. Westchester. But it's all going the way of everything else. The diversity's creeping in. You're getting trap houses. You're getting carjackings. You're getting burglaries. Stuff is creeping in. And these faggot, yuppie liberals, they're going to get what they deserve. It's all these white liberals that live in the suburbs. They all hated me. And they're your prototypical, not in my backyard, limousine liberals. They love diversity, but not in my neighborhood. Not in Western Springs. You should come to Western Springs sometime. It's like utopia. It's all white people. They're all loaded. They're playing soccer and everything. And they all vote liberal. They're all real fucking liberal. Real old school, Midwestern. Liberal types, and they all march for BLM, and they're all marching against ICE, and they're all doing their No Kings program. Okay. Are we back? All right, I think we're back. Refresh. We're back. We're back. Yeah, I think we're good now. I think we lost it, but we're back. Okay, back. Anyway, I don't know where that cut out, but man, I can't wait for Western Springs and all them to go down. It's very sad because that's where I grew up, but it's totally deserved. Totally deserved. Can't wait.
Millennial Whoever sent $50. I found you when I used to watch InfoWars religiously. Nothing wrong with Alex. You will always be the GOAT. The Bullmore that helped me question the status quo. You're the one who is giving us a detailed vision of how to get this country back to a real identity. Can't wait for more news on AF Foundation.
I love that. Well, I'm telling you, we got some really good stuff in store with the foundation. We've been hard at work. And listen, I don't like to trickle stuff out, but you're really going to love what we're working on. We're working on a couple of things that I think you're just going to be blown away.
Huckleberry 999 sent $20. Christ is king. Frown emoji. Thank you for what you've been doing for the last decade.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Hey, Nick, I'm getting married in a couple of months, and I was wondering if you could perform.
Okay, I'm not reading all that.
Whoever sent $20. Hope you have a good Ash Wednesday.
Thank you. Yeah, I did have a good Ash. I mean, I don't know. Do you have a good Ash Wednesday? It's like, hey, remember that you're going to die. Hey, remember that you're nothing. Yeah, I had a good day. I mean, it was 60 degrees out. I got my car washed, got a fish sandwich. I Lenten fast. I know it's been said before, but it's so funny that you Catholics are fasting. It's like, yeah, let me get a fried fish sandwich and some onion rings. Like, is this really self-mortification? But yeah, no, it's a good day.
Big Head sent $50. My neck really hurts. How does she recover from such an error? Do you believe she believes that is how Burrow is spelled? I bet she pronounces Burrow as Borov.
Burov. That's funny.
Bosky
Well
RT9 sent $25. I went to my first Ash Wednesday since taking my Catholic faith seriously again after getting sober, as I mentioned. Also in large part thanks to you and you stressing the importance of having faith in Christ. Keep up the work for us all, brother. Always sending prayers and support from Detroit.
Love to hear it, man. God bless.
Love it. $20. Hey, Nick. Finally, I made it here. Did I hear you say you were single? Romantic face emoji.
Were you born in 1989? Is that why that's your username? I wouldn't get excited.
Funky Dog Nut sent $20. Did you see Asmongold's comments on you about the tranny shooter? He seems like he is slowly shifting towards the map sphere with some of his connections.
No, I did not see that, but listen, I like Asmongold. I don't know, but I think ultimately he'll land on the right side.
MonkeyBoy696 sent $20. If Iran were to try to send a missile strike of some sort on the U.S., where do you think the most likely spot they would target? One of our bases or a city of some sort?
They can't hit our cities. They don't have the range. What are you talking about? They don't have the range to hit. They don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They would hit a U.S. base. They would probably hit Al Udeid. Maybe they would go for the one in Jordan. I don't think they will hit Saudi Arabia. I don't think they will hit Qatar. We are out of Iraq. We're out of Syria. So I think they would go for Jordan or Al Udeid, which is... Well, I guess Al Udeid is in Qatar, actually. They hit that the last time. That's why I say that. So I don't think they'll hit any cities in the Gulf. But they might hit that. Maybe they'll go for the Emirates, because the Emirates have been really pushing for war. Maybe Kuwait. But I think Al Udeid and Qatar might be the best bet.
Austin Matthews Royer sent $20. Watching the Olympics? You see Quinn Hughes marry the O.D. Winner today for the States. What fucking did you say, Nick? You're going to be watching the gold medal game on Sunday. Canada versus USA. Apparently AM34 and Jack Eichel are huge Bro Anderson fans of the show.
Really?
Nicky fucking right, boys. Fucking right, Fate, Merrill, USA.
I don't watch the Olympics. Too boring. I don't like the regular sports are too boring. Then I'm going to watch what, like curling? I'm good.
Justin Carlo must have sent $20. Tiger detained by the Israeli government. Thoughts?
I'm sure that's embellished.
Or 1235 sent $20. What do you think would have happened if Trump had died in Butler, PA?
I don't know, man. A lot of things. What would have happened if Trump died? I don't know, dude. Like, probably nothing, honestly. Do you think something can ever happen? Nothing will ever happen, okay? You think something might have happened? Nothing can ever happen. Nothing would have happened. I'll tell you what would have happened. Nikki Haley would have taken the nomination, then she would have been the president.
Pray the rosary every day sent $100. Fellow AF listeners, today is the first day of the Christian fasting season. It ends on Easter Sunday. Don't squander it. Nick, congrats on 7th most powerful Chicagoan.
Hey, thank you for the big super chat. Yes, I'm the 7th most powerful man in Chicago. You're talking to the 7th most powerful man in this city. I run this city. You're in my territory now. This is my turf. Watch your step. You set foot in Chicago, watch your step, pal. This is my town. You see this? I'm Nick Fuentes, and this is my world. That was crazy. You know that's just some liberal, like, fear-mongering, hyping that up. You know that's like the most pick-me liberal bullshit. It's like their version of the Handmaid's Tale. You know, the Nazis are taking over. Come on now, I'm more powerful than the Archbishop of Chicago. Seriously? I don't know. I think that's a stretch. But maybe it is.
Alphabot sent $20. I'm trying to find my Ron Levin's wife, but all I can find are trad butter churning choice. Chut Foyds. Fuck that perk me.
Dude, you'll never guess who DM'd me on Twitter. You want to talk about an OnlyFans wife? It's actually crazy. I'm not going to say, but it's actually crazy. I'll say that much.
Sent $20. I work in community banking. 99% of these illegals don't have visas to be here, and only cash checks for use cash. No tin red. Therefore, no drill for taxes. Hundreds of people daily. It's insane.
Yeah. Big surprise.
Yes, sent $20. National syndicalism when?
Okay. When do you graduate high school, retard? I'm a national syndicalist with Maoist tendencies. Like, dude, it's not philosophy club, okay?
Just live your life. 765 sent $20. Happy Ash Wednesday. Love you, brother. Are you giving up anything? P.S. We need more Chad Royers. Deans, listen to next message.
Yeah, I'm giving up nonsense. Like, I'm not putting up with nonsense this Lent. I'm giving up with fake bitches. Giving up fake bitches, giving up time wasters. Giving up toxicity. I'm done with that. You know, I'm giving up in not being on my grind, not focused on the bad.
Hello.
No, I'm going to try to be nice on this land. I'm not off to a great start. I'm doing what Pope Francis said, and I'm going to try to be more charitable, more kind. I'm not off to a great start, but I'm going to try.
Western Roar sent $20. Dan Bro, today's show was such a blackmail. Is there any hope for any of us? If only I said the Trump admin actually lived up to the accusations of the left. All the show, however, watching us beat up on libs was entertaining.
Such a black pill. Is there any hope?
Cheryl Heinz, your thanks, 5 cent $20. How do you economically disincentivize cheap foreign labor? Or do you just liberate the capitalist class? Does ethno-communism or some shit exist? I take money, thanks.
Yeah, it's like normies should just put their heads down and
Shavery sent $20. I ride with my wagon ass, Nick Wetas, clavicular, chump.
So if the rich people want labor, how do we make it so they don't want it?
great question. You need to win an election and duty verify. You just need to punish them. And someone's just going to need to suck it up and just do it. Someone's going to need to mobilize the masses and just do it. But Trump tried that, and maybe it can never happen.
Shavery sent $20. I ride with my wagon ass, Nick Wetas, clavicular, Sean Strickland, Bryce Mitchell, James Fishman, Casey Twitch, yay, and the millions more in attendance. Thanks for all you do, Nick. Stay safe, buddy.
Hey, thank you, man. Yup, weighing half. Weighing half.
Sent $25. From Henry Ford to Nick Wetas. It starts with the stocks. We need a far right that's ready to fight these capitalist wasps. That is the stalemate they put us in. Verified Reuters sent $25. So monkey look good today. Can we have gaming or live reaction streams on a slow news day like before? Please.
I look good.
Right pointing finger emoji. Left pointing finger emoji.
We never did live reaction and gaming for a slow news day. That I might have done that once or twice, but I don't think I ever really did.
And Envy sent $20. If you're at Randy, strike preemptively. Do you have enough to deter the United States?
No and no.
Nick Salazar sent $25. Killing blow to disproving Islam. Do you really believe God looked at the stinkiest group of people on earth and said, yeah, those will be my guys? On a real note, you and Sneaker need to hash these sneak disses with a religious debate.
Well, I mean, a religious debate is just going to be a stalemate. I mean, he's a Muslim, I'm a Catholic. I don't think you really resolve things with debates when it comes to religion. And because if you did, one of them would have won by now. Well, and that's what I said. I said I don't know that God would have chosen Arabic. And Stico said, well, what? Do you think he chose English? You think Jesus was in a suit and tie? It's like, no, but as a Muslim, you believe the Quran is in Arabic. You believe that Arabic is like a holy language. And it's not like that in Christianity. We don't have anything comparable to the Quran in the sense that the Quran is co-eternal with God and Islam, which is in itself a contradiction. And they believe that it is a transliteration from Allah's speech. We don't believe that about the Bible. We believe the Bible is divinely inspired. We don't believe it is the actual direct, literal word of God in the sense that God spoke it, it coexisted with God. And you know what's sort of interesting is that I'm just thinking about this now. You know, what is the Quran to Muslims? Well, for them, it's the Word of God. We have the Word of God. It's called Christ. God eternally begets the Son. The Father eternally begets the Son. The Father, God, thinks of himself, and that is the begetting of the Son. That's creation. And, you know, so there's this idea that there's God, and then there's the Word of God, and the Word of God and God are co-equal. They're both God. Distinct, but the same. And Muslims kind of have something similar in the sense that they've got the Quran, which, I mean, they wouldn't say it's the Word of God, but they would say it is eternal with God. It is the Word of Allah. It's holy like Allah. And yet they say they're monotheists. They say Tawhid, there's only one, but it's like, it seems as though the Quran has this divinity. It's sort of, there's an interesting similarity there maybe, but our Bible does not function in the same way that the Quran does. And so I said this some time ago. I said, well, I don't know that God would be speaking Arabic. I don't know that that would be his whole thing. And Steve goes like, well, Jesus spoke Aramaic. That's like the same thing. And it's like, yeah, but it's not really the same thing, actually. So anyway.
Francesco said $100. Look what Messi and Rocano accomplished. Held the legislature and executive hostage for Epstein info. Endorsing and repelling a handful of America firsters and fucking GOP isn't soy chaos or whatever these faggots want to call it. It's a political strategy that we just saw work in real time. Like 2 seconds ago. I know. You were telling me for the first time. Wow.
True. Thank you for the big super chat. And all you need is one. All you need is Thomas Massey. And he brings a handful of people with him, and then you flip the government, and that's how you get it to work for us. There's one guy in Congress that's taking his own side. It's taking our side.
Terry J sent $20. It is surreal to see Ross Creation share the clip of you talking about him to his 4.4 million follower Facebook account. Then looking at the comments and seeing so many problems.
Yeah.
You've come so far from the debates on the morning with me, Taylor Ralph retort. Proud to be at Roy Bros Heaven.
Very true. Yeah, it's awesome. Because I've been a fan of his for a long time. And I know I can't say that. People say I'm glazing. But it's true. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. Pretty cool.
$20. Look at Mark Nugent. He's anti-Israel and is running in Texas District 3.
I'll take
Average John 93 cent $100. Living sharp, selling sharp.
Thanks. Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate
Yankee
it.
Bones sent $50. Over/under casualty rate of the upcoming US/Iran war. Jews don't count. Not real. +/3 to
I don't think it'll be a lot of people, If it's going to be what we talked about, which is a series of airstrikes, I don't think more than, 2,000 people are going to die. But we don't know. I mean, we really don't know. It really depends on what happens and how it plays out. But I don't see it as a mass casualty event. How many people died in the Israeli-Iran strikes? It was a few thousand Iranians and maybe a couple hundred Israelis, I think, was the final death count. Let me see. 12-day war. They'll tell us quickly on Wikipedia. Yeah, so in Iran, 1,000 were killed. Oh, in Israel, only 32 were killed. See, that's actually not a mass casualty event for what it is, which is a war. So I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be more than a few thousand. But again, really depends on what happens, and it's sort of unpredictable.
Yankee Bones sent $100. Don't need to get me to engage in gambling. Real degenerate move. Please accept this offering.
Oh, I see. It's a poly market thing. Well, thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be crazy.
$300. Please help me, evil fucking Nazi.
Okay, thank you for. I appreciate the big super chats. Not really sure what we're going for with that, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Shapley sent $20. People are overlooking the grifting opportunities for white men who shield for Democrats as hick libs. So many black, gay, true, etc. careers have made in the past 10 years just become a fake hick lib.
Now, I don't know how lucrative that is, but not a bad idea.
Big251 sent $50. I married my girlfriend yesterday and we planned to kidbox. I'm 23 and she's 24 and I agree with what you said on kidboxing and all that. But am I doomed for having a Chinese wife now as a white guy?
Dude. Yeah, you're kind of cooked. I mean, listen, I just don't get how you have kids with a woman from another race and they pop out looking completely different. I don't get that. I seriously can't get over that. Is that just me? I can't get over that. If I marry a black woman, my kids are going to be black men. That's fucked up. Like, that's not normal. I don't want to do that. Could you imagine, and this is my son, Tyrone, and he's just a black male? Fuck. I mean, how do you do that? I don't know how you do that. Here's my daughter, LaTanya. Hey, how y'all doing? What? How can you do that to yourself? Or you have an Asian kid and he has that fine black hair and slanty eyes. This is my son, Chang. That's not my son. I need a son that's white, that resembles me. I want a son that looks like me. I want a daughter that looks like me. Or her mother, who looks like me. I want kids that fucking resemble me. So, could you imagine, straight up, you marry a black woman, your kid's a black guy. Maybe he's beige, but he's a fucking black guy. What? He looks like Bruno Mars? He starts coming up hey, Dad, can I borrow $20? Can I hold the dollar? What the fuck? Who are these people? Get out of my house! Imagine if you have, dementia and you had mixed-race kids. That would be crazy. You might as well. I mean, seriously.
Sent $20. Maybe no, but any chance the protracted Russia/Ukraine conflict is related to making it more difficult for Russia to support Iran during the current tensions? Feels like Russia never in the news.
Yeah. I don't think that's the purpose of it, but, that's the reality. They're tied down.
London Gigachat sent $20. Monologue was...
But, so are we.
London Gigachat sent $20. Monologue was a masterpiece. Delete it. I work a good job and have serious formal study obligations on top of that to ascend further. Love waking up to your analysis, learning,
Hey,
and challenging my
thanks.
perspective, as I don't have the time to research in such depth myself. Go. We're not all simpletons, my friend.
Okay, well, we didn't need that last part. We didn't need that last part. You know, you don't need to take it personally, okay? If you take it personally, that's like... No, but I appreciate it, man. Thank you very
First one,
much.
the username sent $50. As a general contractor, I can tell you that without illegal migration, it would be very hard to build enough apartments to house them. I would argue that they would be better built in less, though.
Without illegals, we couldn't build apartments for illegals. No! That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would be, but then we gotta find white people to do it. There's your economic incentive. Then there's a huge economic incentive to find white people and train them up and give them jobs, and that's great. Now white people with a high school diploma can get a really good paying job, and they can build stuff. And we can have a country that makes things.
Chuckleman Lesmacho sent $20. A real accelerationist would support taking peptides and accelerating human evolution to make a range seed code.
Well, it's not about human evolution. I don't know if that's really what accelerationism is.
Sent $20. When does looks maxing become vanity?
What kind of question is that? I mean, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, I
Now
guess.
spent $20. Some observations. C-17 tankers are moving toward Middle East. B-2 bombers went dark overload, and the Royal Navy sent F-35s to Cyprus, Al-Udeid, and other bases increasing Patriot missile capabilities.
Yeah.
Huckleberry 999 sent
It's
$20.
coming.
Super chat reactions tonight. 100 emojis.
Thanks.
The Jewish sent
Thank you.
$20. Jeremy's this shoes on my floor in Mentorman school. So I am making sure he know his place, and sure enough, just how the IDF behaves. They think we're cattle, so naturally they find dirty. Anyway, this Jew curb stomped me and broke my nose. Chip the tooth and he's not in trouble, cause Jews can assault Goyim. Stay safe, you all. Folded hands emoji.
Why would you post your L's like that? It's just you got fucking Goyim curb stomped. I don't know. Sounds like you're acting like a Goyim. I mean, two sides to every story, right? Gotta hear both sides.
Atari agent sent $25. Israel elaborately schemes and explodes your phone after months of planning. The far right kicks your pumpkin head down the stairs and smashes it on the ground.
No
Dan
comment.
sent $100. Hey buddy, have some money. And thanks for single-handedly being the only reason I continue to use the shit ass app. God bless.
Hey,
Emoji.
thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you for the
Hanzo
money.
sent $20. Your most underrated Candace bit was the one where you said if you run into Candace in a dark alley and all you see are her teeth and eyes, lol, the visual is hilarious.
That's just like the most basic.
Save Leacher sent $20. Any Texans in the chat, please vote for Dog Geek Chambers in the primary and get that faggot out of office. Ready heart emoji. You Nick. Noah Lofty sent $20. Hey Nick, my soon-to-be born son has no name yet. What's the best non-proper name you can think of? My Mexican chick sent $20. Little Mexican chick think about Pam Bondi Thomas at Myrtle Beach. Phil Caesar 13 sent $20. Went to Moraine Valley for political science in Palo Hills and worked at the GNC and Home Depot in Lockheed.
Hey,
Was a
yeah.
Blueberry pancake house at the end of town. Sounds like it's a theme of the past.
You sound like we live in the frontier. There was a little pancake house at the end of town. We live in a mega city. What are you talking about? In the middle of downtown, which is a suburb in the middle of a giant metropolis. Like, what are you talking about? There's a blueberry pancake house at the end of town. You say that like we're in the middle of nowhere, like we're in the middle of the prairie. At the end of town. It's literally in the fucking middle of town. It's literally next to City Hall. You're talking about, what is it called again even? Blueberry Hill? Which sucks, by the way. Place sucks. I never eat there. But Blueberry Hill, it's literally across the street from the City Hall. It's at the end of town. Yeah, it's next to the City Hall, which is in the middle of the downtown business district, which is in the middle of the historic district of all the old architecture, which is inside the southwestern suburbs, which is huge. So, like, what are you talking about? At the end of town, it sounds like it's a theme of the past. It's very much still there. Blueberry Hill is very much still there. It's all still there, okay? I mean, LaGrange has been better than most. A lot of these suburbs have fallen apart. LaGrange is still holding out. Okay, Blueberry Hill would survive a nuclear blast. There was a blueberry pancake house at the end of town. Sounds. Wait, that's a theme of the past. It's still super popular. It's still there. It's all popular, okay? It's just that the diversity's trickling in, okay? Okay, pal. The Home Depot in LaGrange. There's no Home Depot in LaGrange. There's a Home Depot in Broadview. There's a Home Depot in Countryside. There's no Home Depot in LaGrange. What are you talking? You must be talking about Countryside. That's a whole different part of town. So, yeah, I don't know. What is this? What kind of operation is this that you're running?
French Grower percent $20. Thoughts on the Michaela Peterson crash out on Twitter about the girl wipers? It's getting mad traction.
I didn't even really see it. Someone sent it to me. I skimmed it. She's been crashing out. Well, she's a whore. It is what it is. She's got like 3 baby daddies. Why don't you worry about the baby daddies?
Kong sent $20. Do you take stock in Jewish eschatological beliefs in the sense that they are self-fulfilling their prophecies? They believe Edom and Persia fight each other before their Messiah comes. A script they are following to the letter.
I think they believe it.
It is Honest sent $20. Nobody. You have been sounding like a national syndicalist. Why is your entire generation so incapable of recognizing when you're being mocked? That's a rhetorical question, meaning it requires no answer.
Okay.
Don Swiss sent $20. Nick, your suits are amazing. What brands do you buy?
I don't like this question.
Green 22222 sent $20. Whatever happened to those working characters like Bob Sacamano, racist incel, Polish American grower, etc.? Did they all die?
Yeah.
In real life even?
I don't know. What did happen? Well, they probably just got lives. I don't know. They got lives. Maybe they realized I was always this bastard, right? So I don't know. Whatever happened to them.
Shade sent $20. Clap Bobby Pierce Morgan today, by the way, Lowell. Why the fuck did you go to the hell and send me?
That was
We're
awesome.
good to go. Collect the product and bring it back for storage.
That was great that he brought up Mr. Sons. That was a W Clav. Okay, all right. That's our last super chat. That's going to do it for me. Excuse me. That's all I got for you.